Hello, welcome back to CG Blend, and today I'll show you how to create Photoshop files so you can easily transfer them to Flash. There are many ways to take files from Photoshop or any other application into Flash, and I'll show you one of the ways today, and then I'll show you more things later on. So let's see how we can create files in Photoshop that are going to be suitable for bringing them into Flash in one easy process. So let's go ahead and create a new document as usual. Okay, we're gonna go with preset web right here and 800 by 600 for this exercise. That will set it to 800 by 600 pixels, resolution 72, color mode RGB, and hit OK. Here's our document. Let's go ahead and save it. Okay, so PSD to FLA, and I already have a couple there, so that's going to be number 3. And we have the canvas ready to get started. First thing I'm going to do is double click on the background layer. Again, this is just a mock little user interface that is not going to look all that pretty, but just showing you what you can do. Double click on that so we can apply some layer styles. I'm going to select some pattern and make that barely visible. And I usually scale them down to where it makes a little pattern like so. I'm going to have some color overlay. Usually blue looks good. Again, this is just a mock, simple one. This is not going to be nicely designed. And a little gradient. Okay, so we see the texture showing through, the colors, and the gradient. I'm going to hit OK. So that's my background layer. I'm going to name that background. And that will be my background layer. The next thing I'm going to do is create navigation. Navigation, I will use actual shape tool here to produce these kind of boring looking buttons for now. We'll take care of the aesthetics in the next project. Here's my button, shape 1. Okay, I'm going to add text to it. I'm going to choose orange color and type in start. And make that a little bigger. Okay, I'm going to center that here in the text alignment. I'm going to set it to something that's an even number with no decimal points, and center these two via the alignment tool. So they're centered in accordance to each other. And now we have these two layers selected. That's going to be my start button. So I'm going to hit Command or Control G to create a group out of that. See, they're both in there. And I'm going to name this group Start BTN. Now again, we're creating a simple one, so I'm not going to have rollovers here just yet. We're just going to create 2 more buttons. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my selection tool, hold Alt, and duplicate the button, Alt drag. Okay, that's going to be my options button. I'm going to change the text to options. Options. Okay. And then the next one, I'm going to select the group layer again. I'm going to selection tool and Alt drag one more. That one's going to be credits. So I have 3 buttons. The text is a little too big on all of them, so you can select the text and drop it a little bit. There we go, that's a little better. So this is my navigation, and I know it looks kind of scary for right now. We're going to close these. I'm going to select all 3 of them, and we're going to make sure they're centered and they're distributed. So now that they're all set, I'm going to put, let's say we're going to put it right here. Here you can have a picture or whatever you're going. So I'm just going to to show you how things can look like, I'm going to go in and select any of the shapes and just create a picture with that. And we'll go with this thing right here. That's our little picture. Now I'm gonna apply some effects to it so you guys can see what can be done. So we're gonna double click on that, and as much as I don't like drop shadows and glow, we're gonna actually apply drop shadows and glows so you guys can see what will happen when we take them into Flash. Okay, so let's say that's your absolutely amazing, beautiful artwork. Okay, so maybe even bevel and emboss. So I'll make it look quite not beautiful so much, but I need you to have glow and shadow. And then obviously we're gonna have a title. Title, I'll place it at the bottom. Game title goes over here. Okay. Again, this is one of the most boring layouts. So don't make your layout so boring. And again, we're gonna have drop shadow, let's say distance a little bit more, size a little bit more, and so forth, and maybe a little bit of a bevel and emboss. Nah, make that much smaller. There we go. So game title, navigation, and thing. And navigation is right here. This is our shape, so whatever you want to name it, this picture MC. Okay, and game title, that's going to be the text here. So we're ready to take this little exercise into Flash. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit save. Okay, and we're gonna take it into Flash. So go into Flash. In Flash, we're gonna start a new document. ActionScript 3.0 is just fine. As soon as I start it, I'm gonna go ahead and save it in the same folder so that it's convenient. I'm gonna say PSD to FLA, and that was number 3. And you don't have to worry about the document size or anything. As long as you saved it, you're gonna go into File, Import to Stage, or Control R, and navigate to the document in Photoshop, the ones that you saved. It was right here, PSD to FLA 3. That's the one we just worked with. That's the little picture. So I'm gonna hit Open. Do not click OK just yet. This is the important part. This is where Flash is gonna get all the work done for you. You just need to tell it what to do, and it will do everything that you need, and it's actually quite amazing. First of all, here, convert layers to Flash layers. We don't want keyframes. We're not making an animation. We're doing Flash layers. This is good that it's checked. Place layers at the original position, so all our layers will be placed where they were placed in Photoshop. Set stage size, same as Photoshop. That is really cool that they have that. 800 by 600, it's even telling you what your size was in Photoshop. So we just say, hey, match it, so we don't have to worry about moving things around. So very important, these 3 little things here. Now we're gonna go up here and click on the background. Background is something that's just gonna be sitting there, so we don't have to have we're not going to be making any changes to it at any point in time, so we don't need to have bitmap image with editable layer styles. We just can have flattened bitmap image. I don't really need it to be a movie clip because it's not going to move. It's just going to lock it and just going to sit there. So this is perfectly fine. Background as a bitmap. Okay, these check marks, by the way, if you don't want to include some of the items, you can actually uncheck them, but obviously all these items we're going to have them included. The next thing is a little button. The button, I want that to be a movie clip. So check mark that little create movie clip from layer. I wish we had the little start button name go in here automatically, but it doesn't. So we'll have to type it in, start, btn. Okay. Now here, see how we're importing these, and it's gonna flatten it right away unless you click editable. So on text, you can click editable text, you can click vector outlines or flatten bitmap image. Those different options, you can try and see what happens, but basically here you'll actually be able to write different text in there, edit the text. Here it will still be vector, and here it would be actual flat bitmap. Okay, so 3 different choices. You can even choose to create a movie clip from the layer itself. And this one right here is just for the shape. Okay, again, you can import that as editable paths and layer styles and flat. Obviously, flattened bitmap image here is going to be just a picture, and this one, if you had any layer styles applied, that's going to actually take effect. So That's depending on what you're going to do. Are you going to be changing navigation's rollover in Flash, or are you going to be bringing it from Photoshop? So that's where you decide which one will work. Okay, so for now, I'm just going to make them all flatten. Okay, flat. And then this one, create, and they should be flat in there. Flat and flat. And create movie clip, flat and flat. I'm gonna name this one options BTN. Oh, this one was credits, I'm sorry. Credits BTN, and this one was options BTN. Okay, picture MC right here. We actually do want to select editable paths and layer styles, because if we don't, that shadow is going to actually stick, and the glow is going to stick to the graphic, and it's going to grab onto the background. And in my other movie I actually show what happens, so check out the other movie. But we want the editable path and layer styles. Anytime we have layer styles applied that go outside, such as glow and shadow, whatever goes outside the borders of the actual graphic, that needs to go into editable paths and layer styles. So make sure that one says editable path. Now instance name, I'm just gonna go pick MC, and then game title. Now game title, you can choose to have either vector outlines or editable text. I would actually suggest going with the text. And yes, we do want the movie clip because we're gonna have that title move in from outside the stage. So it's gonna be title MC. Okay, so once you have it all set, double check that these are check mark and flash layers. You're gonna hit OK, and you probably saw how the stage was resized. That's perfect. What I want you to notice that all these layers have been named for you according to what was brought in. Layer 1 always gonna stay empty. That was the original layer, doesn't have anything on it. But here we have the background. Here we have the start BTN, options BTN, and credits. And then we have picture and title. Okay, by the way, if I hide the background, you will see that the stage is a perfect size for what I need. That's because I made sure I check mark that option. Here in the library, I will see PSD to FLA assets. And here we have all the movie clips. Okay, start BTN, game title, picture, and all these. And in Photoshop, I should have named them here. I should have renamed them as options BTN and credits BTN. That way over here, I would have proper names, but you can still rename them here. So that's fine. You can hit rename and say that is options BTN. If you named it properly in Photoshop, you'd be fine. And this one will be credits BTN. Sometimes making a little mistake is actually a good learning lesson, right? So here we have things in Flash, and watch the next video for what to do next.